Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. On today we're going to be talking about Cheyenne Bryant, or as she likes to call herself, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with what's been going on, last year Cheyenne Bryant went on a podcast with, I believe the gentleman's name is Paul Pierce, and he kind of blew up her spot. If you don't know her, let me just give you a brief synopsis. Cheyenne Bryant, allegedly PhD, I'm just going to put that in there, gives a lot of relationship advice, and she really kind of hones in on black men, black males, and their lack of commitment, to which she provides some sort of, I'm going to say pseudo because it's alleged that she doesn't have a doctorate. She gives this kind of pseudo counseling, if you will, via podcast and other avenues. Anywho, she goes on to the podcast and it comes out that no, she's 40 plus, never been married, no children, and that's a lot of women's story nowadays, unfortunately, or fortunately for some who advocate for that particular life. Never been married, no children, no relationship to stand on publicly, right? But she goes on various podcasts condemning black men for not committing, not being able to commit to creating broken homes. Now, I'm not here to disparage that or to tear that apart, because there is a segment of the African American population that these kind of things have happened to. And life happens, right? Like, people sometimes don't work out. Okay. Just because you're not in the relationship doesn't automatically mean that the parents are not equally involved in rearing of the children. Okay. Let me just put that disclaimer there. But she goes on the podcast, on all these podcasts, I'm just going to say the last, before she went on that particular podcast, she was all over the place because she kind of just came out of nowhere, it seems like, right? Didn't know who this lady was. And then all of a sudden she went on like a year, 12-month to 18-month run on Her Name's Everywhere. Cool beans. I'm all for your success. So she goes on, she gets her spot blown up. She's been allegedly seeing some particular person off and on for X amount of years. And she says he doesn't want to commit because he's scared of her success, or he's intimidated by her in some sort of fashion. Okay, I'll play in your sandbox. Say in your sandbox if that's what you want, right? Your imaginary world. Okay, cool. So things kind of, her balloon popped, because you can't make it seem like you have this particular department laced up, meaning that you have it under control and, you're perfect Patty, when here you are without a relationship. I was going to say something terrible. Without a relationship to stand on. Okay? And not that just because you're single, that means you can't give good advice. I'm just going to say it probably means that you're not an expert if you're unable to practice your own preaching. Okay? Now, there was that. And so then people started doing some more digging. Who is this Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, relationship expert, without near a relationship to stand on, right? And so then it comes out that allegedly she does not even hold a doctorate of psychology, though she proclaims herself to be a doctor of psychology, giving out these counseling sessions, as she's put them, even to the general public. She's going on podcast, having conversations. But this is what she calls her counseling sessions, right? So we're not going to go to the degree of consent. If said individual's podcast she's gone on, realize that they're in a counseling session. Okay, again, I will play in your sandbox. I will live in your imaginary world. Okay. So here is the problem with that. Now, I did a video on Cheyenne Bryant last year where I'm going to say I lightly went in on her grift. Because let's call a thing, as Ian Levanzon would say. Let's call a thing. It's a grift. It's a hustle. There was a vacant spot for Black women because up until that point, all of their relationship advice came from Black men, either single Black men or Black men that we found out were married but cheating. Hello there, Jan. But I don't want to make light of anyone's downfall. But it was I think there was a guy named Kevin Samuels, and I think he passed away, unfortunately. But just a lot of different individuals of the male sex, of the male gender, that were giving specifically, more often than not, Black women advice on dating. And though I never partook, because I grew up in a 2-parent household for the most part, I have brother, I have father, grandfather, uncles, cousins, was not ever void of a positive male authoritative figure in my life. Was not devoid of that. So I didn't partake. And then I also knew that some of that was just psyop. Where are these people coming from all of a sudden? How are they credentialed? Show me their, 20, 30, 40-year marriage, happy marriage, faithful marriage. Show me that. I've seen that in my family. So I never partook, right? But I'm aware, you watch enough of anything, eventually things will cross over. So I'm aware of who these people were. But all of the advice came from, again, Black men. And from what I gathered, more often than not, it was kind of browbeating the Black woman or pandering, to the Black woman. It's all pandering. It's all a grift, but under the guise of I'm here to help you. All right. So there weren't any women, specifically any Black women, that were able to give voice, because some of the advice that the men were giving was that, okay, so a lot of Black women's reason for being single is that, they're unmarried with multiple children, with different fathers, and uneducated, Section 8, or just poor, even if you're not, just seemingly unqualified for, in their eyes, marriage. All right. So here comes along this Black woman. She's allegedly educated. She's beautiful, according to some. She doesn't have any children. So she's not, baby mama. She's not spoiled goods, as some people would call that. And she's poised. She's the dime. She's the unicorn. Like, if anybody's going to give voice for Black women, kind of like an answer call and response to the Black men that have come out, it would be her, right? Let's pick her. She's beautiful. She's educated. She's, again, doesn't have any children out of wedlock. Pick her. It's her. Let's use her. All right. Here's the problem with that. Again, once she went on the Paul Pierce podcast, blew up her spot, and then people started doing some more digging and finding out the truth. Here is my thing. If you are going to grift lightly. If you are going to allegedly lie, be careful. When you come out, and not that I'm for lying in any capacity, right? But if you're going to grift, and I get a hustle is a hustle, but if you're going to grift, you need to cover your grift, cover your asparagus on all ends. She could have either found a guy and said, hey, look, or either just dealt with whatever Joe Schmo until, who knows when, till she milked everything she can milk out of this particular situation. But the doctor thing is kind of taking it too far, because again, you get credentialed individuals coming out, and this becomes a matter of litigation at some point, especially if you're saying that you're giving out all these counseling sessions, but really what it is, you're going on male podcasts, beating them down, but you're calling it a counseling session. There are privacy rules that come alongside anytime you're providing any type of healthcare, even mental health care services. So she opens up her world for litigation. The doctorate, the alleged doctorate or the alleged PhD, is of no consequence if you come out and just be honest about that from the beginning. Hey, and people would have bought that, right? She that doesn't take away. She's still beautiful. She's still educated. Allegedly, she has at least a master's, right? I think that's something that she can prove. I think apparently. But I'm working on my doctorate. I'm a PhD candidate. That would not take away from her credibility. What took away from her credibility initially was going on to the podcast with a gentleman, and then we find out that, she doesn't even have a man. Not only are you not married, never been married, but you don't even have a man. Now, moving forward. So, on this past maybe week or so, she put up a post on her Instagram where she's putting on her doctoral robe and her doctoral hood, and she has all of these degrees on her wall behind her, and she's looking extremely educated, right? Only problem with that is the doctoral robe that she has on has nothing to do with psychology. So she can't even lie right, so it's kind of, you're like, girl, if you're going to do it, at least know how to do it. At least know how to cross your T's and dot your I's. But what moreover is unfortunate is there's a particular post that she says emotional safety is, actually I'll have to go back and let me check that out and put it right here. Okay, so she says emotional safety is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Now, I can get behind that, feeling that you're safe with someone, that you can be vulnerable with, that you can be angry with when you're angry, you can be happy when you're happy. And here's a side note, that's very strong. Emotional safety, when we hear the word emotional, oftentimes we think of grief or sadness or, things with that type of tone. But having someone that you can actually be happy with, that is really genuinely happy for you in your success in your life and the things that you do, that's a whole other topic. That's a side note and a spoonful of sugar, okay? Emotional safety is the ultimate aphrodisiac. I absolutely agree with that. I wouldn't say it's the ultimate for me, but it's feeling safe is up there on the list, right? Only thing is, I don't believe that she is someone from what I've heard about her, things that I've seen over the last, couple of years or so here and there. Like I said, I'm not really into the, what do you want to call it? The relationship gurus. I'm not really into it. It's not my thing, but I'm aware of her and kind of her stance on the issue, right? She doesn't come off as someone that you can be safe with. Now, I'm going off of her alleged counseling sessions that she has on these podcasts. I could point out the potty mouth. Some people don't mind a lot of foul language. I do. To me, it seems like you can't find, in here I'm at a loss for words, you can't find Your vocabulary is slim. And yes, every now and then a well-placed F word, or a S word, maybe it'll work, right? But she has a strong potty mouth, and I don't like that. Just as a woman, looking at a woman, listening to a woman, I just don't want to hear it. Call that patriarchal. Call me a religious zealot. All right. I just don't like a lot of profanity off of a woman. I just don't. And really just period, honestly. Anywho, in her alleged counseling sessions, she comes off as very aggressive, mean, defiant, very cold. There is a lack of safety in her. And I could come to the conclusion, without having a doctorate in anything, I only have a couple of masters, business related, nothing to do with healthcare. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably why she's single. Okay? I'm saying probably because I don't know her personally. I only know the image and what she puts out. That's all I can gather from her. But she seems just downright nasty. Just mean, just plain old-fashioned mean. And I can say that because I'm a woman. Now, is some of that personality mixed in with she's 40 plus, hormones are in a different gear when you're in your 40s? Could some of that be perimenopause? Okay. Quite possibly. But she doesn't come off as nice. She doesn't come off as someone, even as a friend girl, that you would want to be around, that you would want to hang out with, that she's the first person that you would call on any given day for any particular reason outside of let's go bash some windows out of a car. Not that I am for that, I'm not. But I definitely don't feel a softness from her. Don't see a softness in her. Even when she smiles, there's just a lack of femininity. And even with all of the soft curls and the, dewy makeup, nothing about her exudes femininity. It's very masculine. It's very controlling, very calculated. And really, to be honest with you, it seems unhappy. And I'm just going to leave that there. She seems like a very unhappy person. Now, when all of this talk started coming out about her not having a PhD and lying and all of this stuff, I know she went on the Breakfast Club. And since then, I've been kind of debating on whether or not I would do another video. I don't like to do videos bashing people because I feel like everyone's on their own journey and they're just kind of figuring it out. But a lot of this is so intentional. She went on not only the Breakfast Club, she went on, it was like a local news morning show she went on, and I'll try to find a clip of the video and post it at the end of my video if you want to sit through for that. But something in particular she said that really stood out to me when the journalist opposite her asked her, point blank period, do you have, a PhD, a doctorate? And she kind of went on a rant, which let me know, no, she doesn't, because it's a yes or no question. If someone asks me if I have a doctorate, it's no. Am I a PhD candidate? Have I ever been a PhD candidate? No. It's really quite that simple, right? But she goes, my sheep know my voice. And that kind of burned me up because that is something that Jesus Christ said in the Bible. And I know as soon as I say Jesus Christ, some of you are probably going to click off. I might even lose a couple of subscribers, but I am a Christian person. It is what it is. I'm very happy about that. So when she said that, I immediately just kind of scathed a bit, like, oh, she's far more delusional than I think. She's not just grifting. She's not just lying to make a quick buck in this capitalist society. No, this girl thinks she's God. This girl thinks she is a God. This girl thinks that she is above and not beneath anything. And that's truly unfortunate. And I would say it's borderline blasphemous. Okay? And to me, anyone still supporting her who is in the Christian faith should run. Anyone who starts to use claims that are completely and entirely indicative of what the Lord says he is a cult leader. Now, let's put a pin here. Not only that, another particular reason why I think she is single is for that manifestation right there. No one can tell her anything. She is the man in her life. And that's unfortunate because I know deep down when she goes home, probably a very nice home, she's made a good amount of money, and she lays down in her bed by herself, or even if she's with Joe Schmo for the night or the weekend, it's not serious. He's not seriously in love with her, I can tell that. She is unhappy, and she quite possibly won't be until she allows her ego to die. Now, yes, to make it in business, I'm sure, or to make it in this, she's in entertainment. I wouldn't say that she's in healthcare, but she's definitely in the entertainment industry. You do have to put on a bit of a bravado. You do have to put on a bit of a front of yourself, right? To, have thick skin and to be overly confident so that people don't buy into people that are not confident. So you do have to have the je ne sais quoi. You do have to have confidence. And even a little bit of arrogance is fine. But to the extent that she has is godlike. And that's nothing of God. That's the devil. That's the devil that thought he could be God. And here is this woman that wants a man but thinks she is a man. She masquerades herself as a man and she doesn't realize it. So if people want to say, what is masculine energy? Her. Very masculine. Even in her conversations, she has to control it. She has to attempt to control it in some sort of way. And it's really unfortunate because, again, she quite possibly, if she were to change, she could find the happiness that she's trying to push everyone else towards. But right now, I think she is the man and money is her God. She is actually her own God to me. And I'm just keeping it light here. I was going to go in a little bit harder, but I'm going to keep it light. I feel like the Lord is telling me to keep it light. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to bash her. I will pray for her. I will pray that she lets herself down, takes herself off of her own altar and submits to God, and then learns how to be led and how to be kind. But anyway, I wrote a book, Why Good Girls Don't Marry. This is a perfect segue because she is on the outward someone who would seem like she is a good girl, right? Doesn't have multiple children with different men. She's, as we know, she's not sleeping around. So that's a good girl, right? I wrote a book called Why Good Girls Don't Marry. I will post the link in the description. And there's a chapter that I hope that one day she reads. She needs to read the whole book, but there is also the chapter. It's the first chapter that she should read. It would really, really help her. Anyway, go check out the book. It's on Amazon. I will post the link in the description. Thanks for watching.
My obedience is to God, not to people. And so as long as I'm in his will and I'm serving and I'm doing his, his word, my sheep will know my voice. Even the sheep